Well, good morning, everyone. Here we are. We're into our final week before Easter break. It seems like it's been a long time coming, and it's well deserved. But we got one more week here to finish up. We'll hopefully rally through it, and we'll move on. So we're now to the point where we're going to be doing assessment. So that's what we're going to be focusing on this week, and that's when we were listening to most of the comments and the feedback coming back from the teachers last week. That's what most people were saying, is they're unsure about how they're going to do the evaluation and the feedback, and hopefully what we share with you this week will help. I know we're investigating some more ideas, and hopefully as the week progresses here we can share some more great information. All right, so assessment. Leslie created this great template that we have for this week. So if we look through and we see what's happening, so today we're looking at assessment and evaluation, setting up your Gradebook in Google Classroom. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at how to create Google Forms right inside Classroom for your students and having them marked and then set right into your Gradebook. Then on Wednesday we're going to be focusing in on quizzes, which is a really fun way to get your assessment and evaluation across to the students. It's very game based. And then we move on to Thursday, final day of the week, and it gives us a chance to celebrate all of our efforts and everything we've done in the last month, and we can enjoy our week. So let's move on and let's see what we have in plan for today. So the two things that we're looking at, I thought this was interesting. I went through and I tried to find two photos that represented the journey getting to the end and the destination. So I searched journey, and that's one of the pictures that came up other than the band. And then when I searched destination, that's what came up. And they really weren't much different. Like most of the pictures were kind of similar to each other. But those were the best ones I could find to represent the two types of assessment. And I want to just go through and show a few things. So for quizzes, we're going to be showing you two things: Google Forms and Quizzes, an app that you can use with Google Classroom to provide quizzes for students. Peer evaluation, that can be done through Docs. Hopefully I can show that at some point. We've already showed polls, using polls everywhere. That was shown last week, and I know that Patrick here also informed us that in Pear Deck you can do the same thing. Presentations, you can do that with Google Slides, and case studies, like basically coming up with a scenario and having the students comprehend and evaluate it and come back with some critical thinking based on a case study. So those are all types of formative assessment that you can do along the way. And different ways or different platforms that we can use to do that. Then we have summative assessment. Summative assessment, that's our destination. That's what we do as the culminating activity to see the understanding of the students. And this is where things change. Exams, you're looking at how legit the results are going to be if we provide exams to students, and we don't really have a format in place where we can restrict the resources that the students have when they're doing exams at home. So you might be looking at doing alternative measures for doing your e-learning with your summative assessment. So students can use their phones to do videos and take photos and give feedback. Just maybe it's audio feedback on their comprehension on something. They can also utilize their Chromebooks, and they can utilize different parts of G Suite to finish a final project, whether it's creating a document or a slideshow, or possibly they're going through and they're creating a portfolio using Google Sites, which a lot of people haven't used, but it's actually a really easy resource to use. That the learning curve is very short and sweet. I've used it in the past and it works really well. Papers, like making like research papers, stories, essays, documents in Google Docs, and productions. So productions, that might be more for the students that want to do performances, or they want to show how to go through and demonstrate how to do something. So that might be a thing that they can use and create videos to show their comprehension. All right, moving on. They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time. Okay, that's how I feel like online learning success is right now. So we have to show this. This is just too funny a scene not to show it.
They've done studies, 60% of the time, It works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
That's great. I love it. I love it. I love it. So when we're looking at Google Classroom, there's basically two different grading systems that they have set in place. The first one is to set it up with total points grading. And you can see here we have, I have two different assignments. Quiz 1, which was given it's out of 100. The student got 90 out of 100. And then we have an assignment category where the student ended up getting 95 out of 100. And the total points overall, so if you add up those two marks, they end up getting 185 out of 200. So then if you do the math on that, the overall grade is 92.5%. So that's one way of doing it, is to set it up through a point system. So you have to have a kind of an idea of how many accumulated points that you want to have for your classes, and you add them up, and it's essentially done like that. Some people have their classes right now in PowerSchool set up this way, so maybe that's the way that you want to do it. Okay, but I know a lot of you have your classes set up as weights. So if we did that, then you're essentially, I have my two categories set up here again. What quiz category is worth 50%, assignment category is worth 50%. The students went through the quizzes and received a 70 out of 100 and 80 out of 100. So you take those two, divide it by 2, and get the average. But then once you have the average, since this is only worth 50% of the overall mark, you divide it by half, okay, so you are multiplied by 0.5, so then you get your category score of 37.5% overall. And the same thing with the assignments. So you have we have two assignments here, 90% and 100%. You divide it by 2 to get your average, and then after you have your average, it's 50% of the overall mark. So you take 95 and multiply it by 0.5, you get 47.5. Now we take these two marks and we can add them together, and then there's your overall mark, which is 85%. So that just gives you an understanding of the two different marking systems that are in place. So what I've done is I've created a video that's going to show you where to find the marking system in Google Classroom. And then once you have that marking system in place, I'm just sharing a little bit of information on ideas that I've heard of, or that have been shared with me, or I figured out along the way with making Google Classroom a better platform and an easier platform to use as a teacher. So, all right, here we go. Let's move on to the next video. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the different ways that we can set up a class. So this is just one class example, and I'm sure yours is going to look a little bit different, and I'm going to apologize before I start. I'm probably going to jump around a little bit as we go, just to show you a few things, but the intent here is to show you how to set up your classes and your weighting in your classes if you're going to use weighting. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the class that we're going to be using here. Once you're in and you have the class that you're going to be working with, we're going to go up to the gear, and in here, before I do anything else, I'd like to point out, when you're doing your class details, as you go along in the Google world, you're going to see that you're going to be creating many classes over the years, and it's essential that you're making sure that you label these classes appropriately. So instead of just putting in the class name, I like to put in which semester it's happening in and which year. So when I go back, and if I have archived classes or if I have resources that I'm going through, they're not all labeled the same thing, that I can actually tell when the different courses occurred. Then after that, you can just put in some information that just gives clarity to which course this was and when it was being offered. Down below the general area, we don't have classes in session, but usually if you did have a class in session, you wanted to share this is how you'd share it on the whiteboard or on your Chromecast. Deciding if students can post or not post. Guardian summaries, you're going to want to have that turned on so we can communicate with our parents. Overall calculations. So this is where you want to set up your calculations in the class, and you can see I've already created the different categories for the class that I have here. Quizzes are worth 25%, participations are worth 25%, and assignments are worth 50%. If you want to add, if this was something where I wanted to add another area, if I want to make this 25%, I could put it in, but I'm not doing that for this course. And this is one way of doing it with weighting. If you don't want weighting, then you can go ahead and go by total points, and then you're deciding based on your total points what each area is going to be worth, and you're figuring out what the point assessment will be to each of your projects. So maybe mine's going to look like that if I did do it another way. Okay, again, I'm going to leave mine as weighted categories, and we're going to move on. So I'm going to go ahead and save this and take a look at my actual class grades. So if we go in here, you can see that we can see the categories for my classes. We have a participation category, a quiz category, and an assignment category. And we can see the progress of the kids, what's been turned in. Now, there are a few things that I want to share with you when you're doing your coursework, just to make life a little bit easier for you. We have these areas, and you can see here that I've tried to sort things as well as possible. This is more for myself than it is for the students, but I've also put some visuals in here. So if you go over to the side here, we have the topics that we have. Right now I don't have a lot of topics, but as you go along you're going to have more and more. So this was created so if you want to just see an individual topic, you can go in there and you can scroll through. This is also for the students. You see I have these little emojis beside my names. That's just kind of a fun thing to do, just makes it a little bit more visually appealing. So if you go down to rename, and you have that emoji there. So if you right click on your mouse, you can see the emojis that come with that are available when you're working in Google. Okay, so you can have those if you want. And as far as these emojis here, I ended up getting them from a link to a extension which I had earlier. Let's see if I still have it. Nope, don't have it. So I'll get that extension for you, and I'll share it with you so you have it. All right, so that's one thing I like to do. I like to put in the icons. The other thing I like to do, if you saw my work earlier, is I like to label all of my assignments with a number in front of them. That's because sometimes the due dates don't categorize things properly, and then that gives me an idea of where I started and where I'm going. And you can also change these, so some people like to have the first assignment at the top and the most recent subject at the bottom. Okay, but it seems like this is the way people are going. They're putting the most recent assignment at the top, and then it's moving down from there. So if I go into assignments, the students are going to see at the top of their page, so they're not scrolling all the way through trying to find that actual assignment. Okay. And the last thing I wanted to show you was when you're making an assignment. So if I go through and I'm making an assignment, and I have this is going to be a document edit. Okay, so I can put in here the instructions. Create a story. Okay, and then maybe down here I have a link to a document that I've created. So I'm going to see if I have something here. Oh, playlist from another assignment. So I'm going to put this here, and students can view the file. It's going to go to all students. The category for this is going to be assignments. It's going to be out of, 100 points. Due date be later next week, and the topic is going to be assignments. Okay, I don't have a rubric, or I'm not going to be creating a rubric right now, but I got to show you that later as well. So I'm going to go ahead and assign this. Now that I have that assigned, I want to bring up and I want to show you how this looks to a student. Here we have a fictitious student that I created for this class. If I go into classroom, we can go into this course, and we can see here's the most recent document that was posted. So this is what they see if they go into classwork. They click on assignments. This is the most recent assignment that came in. Once you click on this assignment, you can see here's the assignment, and I can click on it. I can go through And here's the assignment that that this student's going to be working on. So before they used to make a copy for the students, they've changed it. So they can read the assignment, they can see what it's about. Okay, but in here, if you go over to where it says your work, which is the student's work, they can add and create. And here, they're going to make whatever that asks for. So if they ask the student to make a slideshow, they can make a slideshow. If they need a doc, if they have a sheet, a drawing, if they are linking an item to hand in, they link it here. If there's something in their drive that they're going to be handing in, they hand it in here. So anyways, this student's going to create a doc for this assignment. Okay, and I like to take the actual assignment. Okay, so here's the doc that they created. And once they're in here, I'm just pasting what the assignment is. So they put in their answers to this. So they put in their 5 songs. Let's pretend that's all done. They put in their assignment. Okay, at this point, I'm going to go back to here, and I can see that you can turn it in. So once it's completed, I can say turn in. Okay, it's been handed in. Once it's been handed in, I can go back into my account as the teacher, and I can look at grades, and I can see that James Smith has handed in this assignment. Okay, so I can go ahead and I can view the submission. Now that I'm viewing the submission, I can go through and I can give feedback. So if I want to go through and I want to make some comments here, I can go ahead and I can post a comment. And the comment that I want to put in here, I could take, if you look at the side here, I have a couple things that I can do. So over here I have some comments that I've already created. So instead of having to recreate the comments, okay, I can just copy and paste them in. Okay, and I can have that for the student. So there's my comment. So you can go through and you can edit and you can make give feedback to the student. Now I can say, okay, I've given you some feedback. I'm going to return this to you because I don't think it's quite ready yet. All right, so that goes back to the student. Okay, so if I'm in this class and I'm looking at the work, okay, he can view this assignment, and when he's looking at his assignment, in here he's going to see the feedback from the teacher. So he can go ahead, make some changes, okay, turn it in. Okay, once it's turned in, now from the teacher's side, I'm going to go into the class. So we have the assignments. Oh, you probably want to see the grades. This is probably a better place for you to see it. Okay, view submission. So we look at the submission. At this point, we're happy with it, and we can give the student their mark, and we can go ahead and return it. All right, so I'm back on, if I go back to my page now, I guess I'm in his page. So if I look at his page, he can see his classwork. Goes to assignments. He can see that this is now graded, and he can see what he ended up getting for a mark on that. All right. So I hope you guys found something of value in that video this morning on assessment and evaluation. If it was me watching the video for the first time, what would have grabbed my attention was the emojis out of all that, right? So useful. But anyways, I didn't do a very good job showing how to get that. And if you haven't used Chrome extensions before, this is something that you're going to want to learn how to do. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that extension. So if you see that this is the web store and this is the actual title of the extension, and then we want to add it to Chrome. But if you need to find it, then what you should do is type this in. So I'm just going to copy it, paste it, and do a search. And when it comes up, you'll see the Google Chrome Connect, and you'll have it come up. So once you do that, you can say add to Chrome. Once you say to add the extension, it's going to show up in your extensions bar up in the top corner here. So you can see it is now added. It's right up here in the corner. If I click on it, it's going to have all the emojis that you could possibly want. So if you, I'm just going to move my picture down here. So if you go through and you can see all of them. If I want a soccer ball, it'll copy the soccer ball, and then whatever I want to put that soccer ball into, it will place it into that spot. So that's how you use the emojis. That's how you add an item from extensions. So you can see I have lots of extensions across the top here. Everyone's going to find benefits for different types of extensions, but those are the ones that I like. Regardless, we are done for today, you guys. Like I said, hopefully you got some value out of this. If there's anything else that you're asking or requesting about, please ask one of the Tech for Teacher reps in our school or myself, and we'll get back to you with the information that you need. So anyways, try to keep it short. I know it went a little bit longer than it's supposed to, but sometimes there's just so much great information out there. You're overwhelmed with it and you want to share so much. But anyways, I'm cutting myself off. You guys have an awesome day. Thanks. Hey everyone, good morning. It's good to see you. Oh shit, I forgot to change my shirt. Can you hear me? Oh, for crying out loud. Here we go again. No, I'm sure I turned it off. Yeah, it's good. I'm just taking a break. Ah, for crying out loud. What I'd like you to do is go up into the top gear, and when you're in there, you're going to go down to the bottom and you're going to see waiting. And in the waiting section, you're going to see that you have your grading and you have your, can you please stop knocking on the door? I'm trying to make a video in here. We also see over here that you have a Google Drive folder, which if you open it, you can... What? I still have my headphones on?